Hello and welcome back to another Unity 5 tutorial. In the last session we finally got our UMA to run across our scene, avoiding an obstacle. So this session will be split in two parts. In the first part we're still gonna adjust our script a little bit. I'm gonna add just some bits and pieces in order to get our character walk and have it look a bit better. And then in the second part we're just gonna start or we're gonna look at a script that I found online in the Unity docs that has a bit of a different approach than what we've been doing. Like, oh well, it's not entirely different. It's also gonna use the nav mesh. It's just gonna do the movement a bit different. So we're gonna look at that in time. So the first thing I want to do now is actually, since we're talking about NPCs here, I haven't seen any game where all the NPCs are running all the time. So let's change that. In our animator though, we only have a run state and run animation. Of course, we could now try to adjust our animator, just get an animation for walking and replace it and stuff, but we're just gonna do it a different way. We're gonna replace the entire animation controller, and I think this is a good exercise for you to see how are we gonna do that if you want to use an own animation controller, a custom made one, or one you bought or downloaded somewhere. So we're gonna use the standard assets and we're gonna use the characters package. So again, we could now just take the things we need. I'm just gonna import it all because right now this is just a dummy project and it doesn't really matter. So there we go. And now in our standard assets, we have a characters folder with a third person character folder and an animator folder. There we find our third person animator controller. So this is the one we're gonna use. But first things first, we're gonna adjust our editor script, our UMA initializer slightly. And all we're gonna do here is at the end where we get our locomotion animation controller, we're now gonna put in third person. That should be enough. Save the script, and now we can delete our test UMA, create a new test UMA using the script, and now the third person animator controller is on here, but as you can see, we're missing now our nav mesh agent and our movement script. So let's add this as well. Let's call this nav mesh test UMA add component nav mesh agent. And for movement, we're gonna use our script test UMA add component NPC movement nav mesh script. So we could get a reference here for the nav mesh agent and adjust the size of our nav mesh agent, but I'm just gonna leave it as is right now. So, and now we need to delete our test UMA once more, get him in, and there you see this cylinder of our nav mesh agent, and we've got our script. The only thing that's missing is our destination, which is I think here. Yeah. And now as we hit play, nothing happens, of course, because well, not of course, but as we look in our third person animator controller, we've got a whole different set of movements parameters in here. And as you double click grounded, the grounded blend tree, this one looks quite different from what we've got before with just running straight left and right. So you can tell there's a whole lot more going on here. For us, the only important thing to note is right now is the run animation and the walk animation. Those are like the important ones because we're only using the forward animation. So let's just have a quick look at, oh no, it's inside here. So let's have a look. Let's have a look. We've got run. I'm just trying to find out the barriers, when which one is starting. So now we just need to get it a bit bigger. Now we're getting somewhere. So this is the direction, as you can tell, like the turning right responds to pos X. So the direction must be 0, which we got for run and for walk. So that's great. And now you can see if the forward movement is up to 1, then our character is running. If the forward movement is 0.5, then we will be walking. Yeah, that's it. So these are the things we need to know. So we can open up our NPC movement navmesh script. And now, in order for the script to be a bit more flexible, we're just going to add a public string called speed parameter. And we've set this now to forward. With doing it this way, we are just more flexible and can just in the inspector change the name of our forward value if we use a different controller. So now let's check if that's all working. Yeah, our character is running again. And now we just need to get a smaller again. Just need to check our speed value. Right now we're using the speed of 1. So as we drop that down to, let's say, 0.5, our character is walking. And he's still walking below 0.5, so there's a transition somewhere. That's what I was actually looking for, but didn't find. But the nice thing is we can now use our slider and just in moving it around, our animation controller will automatically transition the walking to a running animation. So that's quite cool. Now let's have a look at the walking animation close up. So yeah, I leave that at 0.5. That's some slow walking movement. And here you can see that the feet are sliding above the ground. So he's still a bit into moonwalk these days. In order to change that, or basically we need to think of what could be the reason for this movement. And right now, there was a setting I showed you right in the beginning when we started working with our agent. The agent update position. And this one basically always couples the transform position and the agent position in some way. We still change things with our own settings here. We've adjusted this the way it's coupled together, but still our agent is moving and our transform is pulled along. So since our agent has this route, this path set, there's a constant movement. Our agent is constantly moving along this path. And this is what we see. So basically, even as our character's feet are touching the ground, the agent is still constantly moving, and that's why the character is kind of sliding over the ground. And we need to change this in simply setting this to false. And as we hit play, there you go. Our character is actually now nicely walking on the ground, not sliding anything. This stopping to walk still looks a bit edgy. And another thing, if we look from above, and let's see if we can adjust our destination a bit, get it a bit closer to our obstacle. So maybe I should crank up the speed a bit. So sorry about that. Let's just set it to 0.8, should work. And now just look at the character. Sorry again, that was just too fast, but maybe you could see it already. Basically, what I'm trying to get at is the points where he's changing direction. So the agent is pointing in this direction, and all of a sudden the agent is pointing to another direction. And because we've got this line in our script, transform rotation equals quaternion look rotation. So here we the desired velocity is not doing a smooth change. It's just changing all of a sudden. And this is what we apply right to our transform rotation. So this is where this ragged movement comes from. There's also a nice view if you click on, sorry, let's do that again. If you have navigation tab selected and you see the nav mesh, then you can actually see the velocity. So this is the desired velocity. It's spinning around, and right away our character is spinning around as well. So I've tried to find ways to smooth out this movement. I think what I've come up with is not fully satisfying yet, but anyways, that'll work for now. So first of all, I want to change this to, as I said before, it's not wise to just check for a solid value of 0.0. So let's change that to less than 0.1. And now here I also want to, we don't actually need all this space. In order to smooth out our rotation, we're going to use slurp. And slurp, what it is, it's interpolating between two quaternions. Since we use the slurp now on a quaternion, you can also use this for vectors or numbers even. And it's doing it spherically, so it's not a linear interpolation. We probably could use a linear one here as well, but yeah, this just gives it a more organic touch, I think. So now we need two values here. So the first one would be our transform.rotation. The second one would be our desired velocity quaternion we get from there. And then the last value is a float t. This float is clamped between 0 and 1. 0 would mean we're using all of this value, 1 would mean we use all of this value, and between 0 and 1 it's this spherical interpolation between those two values. So we want a lot of this value and only a little bit of this value, since we want to have a smooth movement. So we're gonna go for 0.1. And that's it. Now as we hit play, and I'm just getting the view free for our character. Now you can see he's smoothly looking around the corner, and that looks way nicer than a sudden movement. All right. sorry. Let's have a look at our script. Another thing we still could do, but I just decided to omit, is let's have a look at the movement and at our UMA. As you can see, the position of our agent and the position of our transform doesn't fully match up. Like, you can tell that our character is not in the center of our agent. So this is actually what we would like, to have our character inside the circle, exactly in the center. But I've thought about it. A way we could do this is, or let's just have a look at it. So we could get an offset of our agent using agent next position minus transform dot position. So of course this is not the current position while this is. So this will give us also not the exact value what we need, but it gets close enough. And we could say if this agent offset dot magnitude is greater than 0 point something, like 0.3 for instance, that's just an arbitrary value, then we would need to adjust something. So we could say, let's take our agent next position and set it to our transform dot position. Again, since this is not the current position while this is, this will also not set it exactly in the center, but it would be closer than before. So this is a way we could do this. You might actually not see much of a difference here. Oh, well, it looks a bit, let's have a look. Yeah, it's a bit more centered than before, as you can see. But yeah, as I said, I thought about it, and right in the beginning when we've started, I set our, our radius to 0.18, I believe. And I thought if we want to have characters walking around, it's actually more helpful to have a wider range, because we don't want a character to just slide by the edge of a house, or characters to just pass by each other, like almost touching. That would not be how people would walk in real life. So I thought it's actually helpful to keep a bit of a boundary for our character. So whatever value you choose, I just decided to stick with the default values now, since our nav mesh also got the same default values, 0.5 and 2. I decided to stick with that. But yeah, that's up to you. So this is it for our script, their own version of our script. And now time has gone quite far already, and it will take some fiddling around as well. So I think I'll stop it here. And in the next session, we're gonna look at the script from the Unity docs. So thanks for watching, and see you then. Bye.